Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something that honestly impacts all of us, and that's disinformation.
Hmm.
It's those sneaky lies that spread like wildfire online.
Right.
We're going to equip you to spot disinformation, stop it from spreading, and really help protect your community from it.
Yeah, and to help us do that, we've got some great resources from the Union of Concerned Scientists.
Yeah.
They've really broken this complex issue down in a way that's both informative and actually gives you things you can do.
So no more feeling helpless when you see something fishy online.
Yeah.
Let's start by getting clear on what we're even dealing with here.
Right.
What exactly is disinformation?
Okay.
And how's it different from just making a mistake
Yeah.
or sharing something that turns out to be inaccurate?
That's a great place to start.
Yeah.
The Union of Concerned Scientists, they make a clear distinction.
Okay.
Disinformation isn't about accidentally sharing something that's wrong.
Mm.
It's intentional. It's about deliberately spreading lies and manipulating information to achieve a specific purpose.
So there's always a puppet master pulling the strings, so to speak.
Exactly.
Okay.
Whether it's to make money, gain political power, or even just, sow chaos and distrust, there's always a motive behind these falsehoods.
So that's what makes it so dangerous.
Exactly.
It's almost like a virus, right?
Yeah.
Spreading from person to person,
Mm-hmm.
infecting communities with distrust and division.
That's a powerful analogy.
Yeah.
Just like a virus, disinformation can be incredibly contagious.
Especially in the digital age,
Right?
where information travels at lightning speed.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are some signs
Okay.
that we might be dealing with disinformation?
Yeah,
How can we tell if something is intentionally misleading
right.
rather than just a genuine mistake?
The Union of Concerned Scientists actually give us some handy red flags to watch out for.
Okay, great.
One of the first things to consider is the source. Is it credible?
Right.
Do they have a history of accuracy and neutrality?
Okay.
Or is the information difficult to verify?
So if a random account with no profile picture
Yeah.
is screaming about a conspiracy theory,
Yeah,
that's probably a red flag, right?
definitely.
Right.
Anonymous sources, extreme language, and claims that seem too good to be true,
Right.
or even too bad to be true, those should all raise red flags.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But it's not just about the source.
Yeah.
We also need to examine the content itself.
Right.
Are facts hard to find?
Mm-hmm.
Does the information rely heavily on emotional appeals
Right.
rather than logic and evidence?
It's like that saying, if it makes you angry, it's probably designed to.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Disinformation often plays on our emotions, fear, anger, outrage,
Right.
to basically bypass our critical thinking.
And that's what makes it so effective.
Right.
It's so easy to get swept up in the outrage
Hmm.
and just hit that share button without really thinking.
Yeah.
I know I've been guilty of that in the past.
Yeah.
But the articles really emphasize that sharing disinformation,
Right.
even to debunk it,
Mhm.
can actually backfire.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, that's because social media algorithms,
Okay.
they reward engagement, even negative engagement.
So even if you're saying, hey, this is false,
Yeah.
you're still kind of giving it oxygen.
Exactly.
Oh.
You're essentially telling the algorithm, hey, this is important.
Right.
Show it to more people.
So even if you're trying to set the record straight,
Yeah,
you could unintentionally be helping that lie spread further.
exactly.
Oh,
It's like adding fuel to the fire.
Okay.
And that's why it's so important to be mindful
Yeah.
of what we share online.
Even when we have good intentions.
Right.
So we've learned how to be a little more discerning
Mm-hmm.
about the information we encounter online.
Yeah.
But what do we do when we actually come across something
Right.
that we suspect is disinformation?
Okay.
How do we stop it from spreading further?
That's what we'll dive into in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, great.
We'll explore some effective strategies for not only stopping the spread of disinformation,
Yeah.
but also proactively protecting our communities from falling prey to these harmful lies.
Sounds good. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll equip you with the tools to become a true information warrior.
I like it.
All right. Okay, so we've learned how to spot those disinformation red flags.
Right,
But knowing is only half the battle, right?
right.
What do we actually do when we encounter something we think might be disinformation?
Well, the first and most important rule, and we can't stress this enough, is don't share it. I
Okay.
know it's tempting to want to warn others.
Right.
But even sharing it with the intention of debunking can backfire.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, even bad publicity is still publicity.
Yeah.
You're still giving it attention.
Exactly.
Right.
Remember those social media algorithms we talked about?
Yeah.
They thrive on engagement.
So even if you're saying this is false, you're still kind of giving it oxygen.
Exactly.
Clay.
So what's the alternative?
Right.
Do we just ignore it and hope it goes away?
Yeah,
Not
okay.
exactly.
Right.
Ignoring it might work sometimes.
Right.
But there are more proactive steps we can take.
Okay.
The Union of Concerned Scientists recommends a technique they call the truth sandwich.
Truth sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay, like hold the lies,
Uh-huh.
extra truth.
Precisely.
Oh.
You start and end with the truth.
Okay.
Clear, concise facts from credible sources.
Okay.
Then, briefly mention the lie in the middle, but you're making it clear that it is false.
So if someone is like spreading a false rumor about a local election,
Right.
you'd start by stating like the accurate information about the candidates or the voting process,
Right.
then briefly address the rumor and label it as false,
Yep.
and then end by reiterating the facts.
You got it.
Okay.
It's a way to address the lie without amplifying it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another tactic is reporting disinformation directly to the social media platform.
Okay.
Now, it might feel like a small act,
Yeah.
but those reports actually do help.
Okay.
Those platforms identify and remove harmful content.
Like crowdsourcing truth-telling.
Exactly.
Okay.
But what about those offline conversations?
Yeah.
How do we protect our communities from falling prey to disinformation in the first place?
Right.
This is where the idea of building resilience comes in.
Okay.
It's about equipping ourselves and those around us with the tools to spot disinformation
Right.
and think critically about the information that they encounter.
The articles talk a lot about relational organizing. What exactly does that mean in this context?
Well, it's all about leveraging those one-on-one connections we have with people in our communities.
Okay.
Friends, family, colleagues, even casual acquaintances.
Right.
These are the relationships where trust is already established.
So it's not just about sharing facts and figures. It's about having like genuine conversations with people we care about.
Exactly.
But having these conversations can be tricky.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to approach someone
Right.
we think might be buying into disinformation.
Right.
What advice do the articles give us for navigating those conversations?
Well, first and foremost, lead with empathy.
Okay.
Don't go in guns blazing, ready to, debunk every point.
Right, right.
Remember, shaming rarely works.
Okay.
It's more about understanding where they're coming from
Yeah.
and why this particular piece of disinformation might resonate with them.
It's like that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Building trust is essential.
Okay.
Instead of immediately contradicting them,
Right.
try asking open-ended questions to understand their perspective better.
So instead of saying, that's totally false,
Yeah.
you might say, well, what makes you think that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
By listening and acknowledging their concerns,
Yeah.
you create a space for dialogue
Right.
rather than confrontation.
Right.
From there, you can gently introduce alternative viewpoints
Right.
and provide accurate information.
The articles talk about a technique called pre-bunking.
Yes.
What is that exactly?
Okay.
And how does it help build resilience to disinformation?
It's fascinating, actually.
Okay.
Pre-bunking is like giving someone a mental vaccine against disinformation.
Yeah.
You expose them to weakened versions of disinformation techniques,
Right.
much like a vaccine exposes us to a weakened virus.
Right. Yeah.
This helps them build up antibodies, so to speak,
Right.
against future exposure.
So let's say someone in your community is sharing a lot of misleading content about climate change.
Right.
Instead of immediately jumping into a debate,
Yeah.
you could say something like, hey, I've noticed a lot of misinformation circulating about climate change lately.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to be aware of how people try to manipulate information online. Have you ever noticed how some posts try to make you angry or scared?
That's a great example.
Yeah.
By raising awareness of those common manipulation tactics, you're giving them the tools to spot disinformation themselves.
Right.
And you're doing it in a way that feels collaborative and supportive rather than confrontational.
It's about empowering them to become more critical thinkers.
Exactly.
The articles also emphasize the importance of focusing on shared values.
Yes.
How does that play into countering disinformation?
Well, disinformation often thrives on division and negativity.
Okay.
It aims to make us feel isolated and hopeless.
Right.
By focusing on shared values,
Yeah.
we can build a stronger sense of community.
Okay.
and a more positive vision for the future.
So if you're talking to someone who's fallen prey to disinformation about, say, immigration,
Right.
instead of getting bogged down in, statistics and legalities,
Yeah.
you might start by saying,
Right.
I know we both care about our community's safety and well-being. How can we work together to address concerns about immigration while also upholding our values of compassion and fairness?
That's a fantastic example.
Yeah.
By framing the conversation around shared values,
Right.
you're creating common ground and opening up the possibility for constructive dialogue.
We've covered a lot of ground here
Yeah.
about how to have those crucial conversations.
Right.
But what if, despite our best efforts,
Mm-hmm.
we can't seem to get through to someone?
Right.
What do the articles say about managing those situations?
Right.
Where someone's, really entrenched in their beliefs?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something that we'll explore in more detail in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll delve into some additional tools and strategies for navigating those challenging conversations
Right.
and building a more resilient community in the face of disinformation.
Okay. Sounds good.
Stay with us.
We'll be right back with part 3. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've talked about spotting disinformation, how to stop it from spreading,
Mm-hmm.
and even how to have those, tricky conversations
Yeah.
with people who have maybe been misled.
Right.
Now it's time to, go even deeper.
Okay.
We're going to explore those additional resources and strategies that can
Yeah.
help you become a true, what do we call it, a force for truth in your community.
I like that.
Because this isn't just about winning arguments, right?
Nope.
It's about creating a more informed and resilient world.
Exactly.
The articles emphasize the importance of being prepared,
Yeah.
like having a disinformation toolkit ready to go.
Right.
So what's in that toolkit?
Well, the first thing is something we all have access to,
Okay.
and that's fact-checking.
Right.
In this age of information overload,
Yeah.
it's crucial to develop a healthy dose of skepticism
Right.
and verify information before you hit that share button.
That's where those fact-checking websites
Yes.
come in handy, right?
Exactly.
Your articles mentioned a few, like Snopes, PolitiFact, factcheck.org.
Yeah, those are excellent resources.
Right.
They're dedicated to researching claims
Right.
and providing neutral assessments of their accuracy.
Okay.
And don't forget about your local library.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Librarians are incredible resources. They
Yes.
can help you navigate the often overwhelming world of online research
Right.
and guide you toward credible sources.
It's like having a personal research assistant.
Exactly.
Oh, that.
The articles also talk about the importance of media literacy.
Okay, can you explain what that means?
Yeah.
And why it's so crucial in the fight against disinformation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Media literacy is all about understanding how media messages are constructed,
Okay.
how to identify bias and manipulation,
Mhm.
and how to critically evaluate the information that you're consuming.
So it's not just about what information we consume,
Right.
but how we consume it.
Exactly. Think of it as developing a sixth sense for sniffing out BS.
I like that.
There are some great organizations dedicated to promoting media literacy.
Okay.
The National Association for Media Literacy Education
Mm-hmm.
and the Center for Media Literacy both
Okay.
offer a ton of resources
Great.
that are worth checking out.
And here's a tip from the Union of Concerned Scientists
Okay.
that's particularly relevant for navigating the online world.
Right.
Pay attention to your emotional reactions.
That's a key one.
Yeah.
Disinformation often preys on our emotions, fear, anger, outrage.
Right.
To make us more likely to share something without thinking critically about it.
Right. It's like a shortcut to
Yeah.
bypassing our rational brains.
It is.
It's like that saying, think before you speak.
Right.
But for the digital age,
Exactly.
feel, then think, then click.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe.
If you find yourself getting worked up by
Yeah.
something that you see online,
Yeah.
take a beat.
Right.
Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
Is this information from a trustworthy source? Okay.
What's the agenda here?
It's about hitting pause
Right.
on that knee-jerk reaction.
Exactly.
And on that note of being mindful,
Right.
the articles also suggest diversifying our information sources.
That's crucial.
Yeah.
Don't just rely on social media or a single news outlet for your information.
Okay.
Seek out a variety of perspectives,
Okay.
including those that might challenge your own assumptions.
Right.
A balanced media diet is a healthy media diet.
I like that.
And let's be honest, sometimes this work can be emotionally draining.
Yeah, for sure.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed
Right.
or even burned out.
That's why self-care
Yes.
is a crucial part of this equation.
It is.
The articles talk about the importance of setting boundaries.
Mhm.
You don't have to engage with every piece of disinformation you encounter.
Right.
You're allowed to, take a break from the news,
Yes.
step away from social media, or just simply focus on activities that bring you joy.
And recharge your batteries.
It's like they say on airplanes, put your own oxygen mask on first before helping others.
Exactly.
You can't fight disinformation effectively if you're running on fumes.
Right. That's a good point.
Now let's touch on those situations
Okay.
where, despite your best efforts,
Yeah.
someone just isn't open to changing your mind.
Yeah, it can be frustrating.
It can.
What do we do in those scenarios?
Well, it's important to remember that you don't have to win every argument.
Okay.
Sometimes planting a seed of doubt
Right.
or prompting someone to, think a little bit more critically is a victory in itself.
It's about the long game.
It's
not just the immediate win.
And remember, you're not alone in this fight.
Yeah, that's true.
There are countless individuals and organizations dedicated to combating disinformation.
Right.
Find those communities, connect with like-minded people, share resources, and support each other.
That sense of community can be so powerful as an antidote to the isolation and division that disinformation thrives on.
Exactly. It all boils down to this.
Okay.
We can't just be passive consumers of information.
Right.
We have to be active participants in shaping the information landscape.
Balika.
By learning how to spot disinformation,
Right.
engaging in constructive conversations, and empowering those around us.
Yeah.
We can create a more informed, more resilient, and ultimately more truthful world.
So there you have it, deep divers.
Mm-hmm.
We've reached the end of our deep dive into countering disinformation.
Right.
We hope you feel equipped
Yes.
and empowered to tackle this complex issue in your own communities.
Every conversation matters.
Okay.
Every act of truth-telling makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Thank you.
Until next time.